There's an American magazine that specializes in metal drumming called Sick Drummer Magazine, and they had the idea because they were working with some of the death drummers, such as Gene Hoglan and Sean Reiner. So I said it sounded like a great idea. At first I was skeptical, bringing everyone together. I thought the fans might react negatively, but then they talked me into it, and I thought it's a really good idea.
Felt strange because he wasn't there, and it was like a cover band, and it still is really, essentially. But you know, we just happened to be original members from back in the day. But over time, what I discovered was that you know, we're basically just interpreting the work that we were involved with and other records, and just trying to honor it and share it with the people that appreciated his music.
The Schuldiners are not business people. That's not their background. So things went into disarray. They were involved with Sony, who had taken over from Relativity, and money wasn't being paid, and the records were kind of lost in limbo, and Century Media did some reissues that they got as part of a deal with Sony, but basically nothing was coordinated. So the family came to me, Chuck's sister, and said, would you be interested in running everything and taking it over? So I immediately started suing Sony and, you know, roughing up people, because that's the kind of lawyer I am, and got a hold of everything, and now we are a powerhouse. And Death is everywhere as a brand, and that was my goal. I said, I will give me 1 year, and I will have Death as relevant and as important as ever. Because the way I look at it, you have Metallica, you have Slayer, and then you have Death. And that's the way I want it to be remembered and to be pursued as a brand.
It's not a real band because we are together for the purpose of paying tribute to Chuck's music, you know, and his legacy. You know, it was an idea brought up by someone that wasn't in the lineup, just to get some ex-members together, find a singer that can handle the part, and just see what happens. And it turned out to be a success. And we did a short USA tour, and all the shows were sold out, pretty much. And so once that kind of information gets out in public and YouTube and everybody sees, promoters start sending in more offers. So we said, wow, why not? Because, like I said, the purpose is to pay tribute to Chuck. And if people are there to enjoy it, definition, the fans want it, we're happy to do it. You know, we're musicians, we play.
I started managing Chuck about half a year after the first record came out. So in January of 1988, I started managing the band. We had an up and down relationship because we were more like brothers than business associates. And we both had very bad tempers. We were young. So we sued each other twice. But in the end, we were business partners. And then I got sick, and then he got sick, and I survived, and he died. So I've really been involved with Death for a good portion of my life since the 80s. And so it seemed natural for the family of Chuck to come to me to say, can you run everything related to Death? And I said, being a lawyer now, I said, yeah, I'm in a position to do that. My family thought, okay, that's okay for you to spend your time doing this. And it's in honor of my friendship with Chuck and my knowledge of everything related to Death.
Yeah, it's interesting to see the legacy, you know, of his work, how it survived the course of time, and how people are still interested in participating in a live context even without the original guy. But there's a nice window here that's a nice opportunity to kind of share and celebrate Chuck's life and his work.
I brought something because that was why Chuck brought me, as well as anyone else. I think after the first couple albums, he felt like a vision to reach higher musically. So I think he had a determined choice of people that he brought in with a purpose. Yeah, we weren't there to just paint by numbers. We weren't just playing. He definitely told us, I'm giving you this canvas, please add your color.
As far as I'm concerned, Death is finished. The only record that will ever see the light of day will be maybe Control Denied, the last record. This is basically a tool. We're like missionaries from the Church of Chuck, spreading the music, having the people see the music in a context that they would never have been able to do if they were waiting around for Chuck to do it, because he will never be around to do it. So the idea of this is basically to keep playing those songs, to change it up. New musicians, some will go, others will come in. Gene Hoglan, for example, will come in March for the European tour, as far as I'm aware, and Bobby Coble will come in on guitar, and we will do a symbolic 20th anniversary. See, we will change it up, we will make it fresh. The whole idea is to get the music out there. It's not to continue Death. It's not, you know what I mean? That's why I keep stressing Death DTA. It's just to differentiate it. This is sort of a tool to spread the music, and that's where it ends.
We still have offers for this, so we hope to take this act to other territories, fans that have been asking to see it live.
And it's the people who played with Chuck, the people who knew Chuck, the orientation with the family of Chuck. You know, it's the same organization. We're just older, we have more wrinkles, but the only thing missing is Chuck, and that's a horrible, horrible thing. And I keep looking around in the tour bus, you know, and I feel his spirit, but he's just not there, and that's sad.
I actually toured for leprosy and spiritual healing a little bit, so I definitely am more from the first half of Chuck's catalog than the second half. But it feels fine, you know, there's a consistency to his sound. It's not that different, you know, there's an evolution, but it's fairly consistent.
Well, the first thing I want to do is dispel the rumor that it's finished already and that we have been holding it to bring up the price or something like this. Basically, Chuck was very sick when he recorded it. He worked very hard on it with Jim Morris. He got all his tracks done. And of course, Richard Christie got his tracks done. So what I have is a finished record as far as drums and guitar. So now Shannon Ham has started the very slow process of meticulously adding his parts, which is not easy. When that is finally done, if it's done, then Tim can come in and do the singing, and Steve can do the bass. Then we will have a record, and I will gladly put it out on Relapse. Until then, it's a dream, but it's a possibility.
Sean and I have been living this way as gay men for over 20 years. So it wasn't something that we weren't comfortable with ourselves, but in terms of associating it with our work, which we always wanted to just keep the focus on the music, we were concerned that it would become all of a sudden the gay band or something, you know. But thankfully it seems like it's been very positive, and the scene's been open. It's come a long way. And in our minds it was an opportunity to really kind of speak for other people, the kids out there that don't have someone in their scene who's homosexual. It's one of those things where it's nice to kind of, I don't know who it was. I think Harvey Milk said this. You know, he was one of the big forward-thinking, and he said that everybody who's gay should come out, regardless of what profession you're in, because we're a minority, and regardless, you should be out there with it, and make it just helps the whole thing along, you know. So that's how I felt about it. It was like it's about time to just talk about it. I was actually a bit surprised. I mean, it started with the Los Angeles Times, you know, the cover story, and then all the press picked it up, and it seemed like it got a lot of attention, but in the right way. You know, it wasn't bashing. There was little things here and there, but most of those people keep to themselves. I think most people born post 1980, 85, they're not fazed by it in the same way, you know, especially if they grow up in cities. As to where 20 years ago it was a different mindset, I think, you know, or 10 years ago. So we've come a long way, but we still have a long way to go. There's still 7 countries in the world where it's punishable by death to be homosexual. I mean, we still have a lot of work to do.
In my formative years, before Primus, Les was the bass player for a band called Blind Illusion, which was a very, very Bay Area thrash style band, but they took kind of a psychedelic angle towards metal, and Les was the bass player. And I would go watch this band any chance I could get. It was wonderful feeling like just shrunk down watching him just perform. Yeah, he was amazing. So huge influence of mine. So there's stuff that maybe that I soaked in from that I squeeze out and comes from Les, of course. I mean, he's on the mountain. He's up there next to the flag. Some people really they have more of a vision. You need to bring something that fits their vision. Some people are wide open saying, hey, you're here, give me something. But clearly Death put me on the map. So when people would, they call me to play, they kind of know what they're asking for, because like you said, like a signature type sound, like a calling card, like there's a certain quality you want from certain people. Like I said, they know what they're getting for. They know what they're getting with me. Earlier this year, I rejoined with Testament, so I'm back to their full-time bass player, and we're working on a new album, and that will, of course, lead, hopefully, to the touring cycle and continuing on like that. And just like I've done since the mid-'80s, I hope to just stay busy. I like to have, a lot of circuits plugged in at the same time and just keep going. I don't like to sit in the still water. So hopefully just keep going and enjoy myself.